Hi, I want to talk about creating web pages and graphs. And we're working with the Savage book, chapter 6. In this book, Savage doesn't have per se a section for the web pages and graphs. He puts it in the problems 11 and 12. So we're going to go over those things, get some ideas. Just to have fun with it. It's not a big, huge deal. I definitely am not going to create web pages using C++, even though I used it before. It's just something that we want to explore to learn about our file I/O and to learn about web pages a little bit. So that's where we're going to start. And to start with, when we're talking about HTML, that was the starting point of web pages. So it was just a basic tag that we would have. So everything would be a tag. So we would have HTML starting and ending. We would have a title. We would have a body and other tags that I'm going to go over it. So BR is like your \n, new line. So your web browser gets these tags and translate it to what is going to show to you. So the tag is going to be translated. The first thing first is when we are having tags, just need few of them right now to start with, and then we can talk more if you want to get more into it. So the tags, common tags have starting with the name of the tag, and then they're going to have a closing, which is /. That's a typical thing. So here I have the body, it closes over here. I have a title, it closes over here. And to create these files, I have used a notepad on my computer. So I am going to go to this one right here, and that's the way I type it in. And then I say file, save as, and then I put the extension HTML, and then I open it up with my web browser. So I open it up with my web browser, which would give me, where is it? Right here. So that's my web browser that's displaying this. My title is right here. That's my title. So that would be my title. That goes right on the top. And the body is just some simple writing for this one. So that would be the HTML tag. Then we have title, and then the end of the tag is going to be /. That's the way it goes. So that's the picture of this that I was showing to you. Now, we want to go a little more in there, learn a few more tags, and just to have some idea how things are going for basic HTML. First thing first, HTML is not case sensitive. So putting center, all cap, all lowercase, mix it up, doesn't really matter. Conventionally, when I was doing this a while back, we were doing the all caps for the tag, and the rest of things were mixture of things, but it really doesn't matter. Another thing that I learned while I was doing this is we would push over the tags so you know where one starts, one ends. So that's why in here I have it like that. So my HTML title is going to end over there, but if I had the closing one, it would go down here, body, and so forth, so forth. So we have HTML tags over here. Let me clear this out. So some of them that I want to go over it is H1 is for header 1. So you can put header 1, and then you have H2, H3 for the smaller ones, and I'll show you how does that work. We have a center tag that's going to make things center. It's center to the web page. One of the things about HTML is when you adjust your web browser, everything is going to be adjusted accordingly. So it's not hard-coded. Everything is going to move, and you know about that already. The B is for bold. It's going to make it bold. And then we have something like href. That's going to reference to a site. And then this one is going to be clickable. And we have something called a tag that's going to start over here and it's going to close here, so it knows what's going to be highlighted, so you can click on it to go somewhere. The image tag starts with img, then it's going to have a source. Of course, if it doesn't have any directory, it's going to start from the current directory. When I was doing this a little heavier period of my life, we had the directory for the pictures. That way we wouldn't mix it up with the coding. The alt is going to go there, that if the picture is not coming up, it's going to show the alt. We have the width and the height for the picture, and we can adjust that. So if you don't have that, it's going to be the original size. And if you put it in there, it's going to fit it to this size. So let me show you what I tried to do with this. So what I did was creating tags. So here I am putting H1. So here I am putting H1 as a cap. That would be my H1. And then I do H2 and H3 just to show that there's no difference between them. Then I have something centered. Again, if I didn't have this closed here, it would go and all the way through. Then I have the bold. That's going to start here, ends here. Again, if I don't end it, it's going to, everything's going to be bolded. Then I have my href. So I'm going to say, if you click here, you're going to go to this site. And then I have my image. Now, let's see how this display on the web browser. So I have my, where is, so this is how it's going to show on my web browser. You can see that I have my header 1, header 2, header 3. These are the sizes that's going to happen. And the good thing about web browser is it does work in any platform. So it doesn't matter, it's Mac, Unix, Linux, PC, it does work with everything. And that's one direction that some people are working on, creating apps for cell phones that if they go to the route of web browsers, then it's going to work for everything. They don't have to have a specific cell phone types. You can see that I don't have a new line here, and that's why everything is happen here right after each other. So if I go back, so what I told you guys, or I'm going to tell you guys, that when you are working with these things this week, one thing that you want to do is you want to view page source. And if you have it as Chrome, it tries to give you the errors that you have. So you type something in, it doesn't work. Using the web source, it's going to try to show you where the problem is. One thing about this is it is a scripting language. That means these codes are going to be changed to the machine code at the runtime. That makes it harder to debug because you don't know what's going on, where it's going to happen. But it's going to be easier that you don't need to compile it every time you do any changes. So my suggestion was, or is, to have a window for your code. I'm asking you guys to use a text editor that can be either
For Mac, what I believe is called text edit, and for PC is Notepad, but be sure when you're saving it, it doesn't have any extension on it. Because some of these ones, the text editors, they add the .txt at the end. You want to be sure that's not there when you're using this. So if I have this, I can look at this window, view source, to see if there is any problem. In this case, I can look at this one also, and then I can see, let me bring it all next to each other. So I have three windows. One is here, one is here, and what is my view source, which is basically this one right here. I can edit it over here, but I want to edit over here. Either way, it's fine. So I'm seeing that this picture is next to the other one, and the bold is next to the other one. I learned from before, if I want to go to the next line, remember \n belongs to C++, it doesn't have it here. Equivalent to that one is called BR. So everything in HTML has to be with tags. So I'm going to put the BR over here, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it right here. So I can have that one in there. I'm going to say, you know what, what's going to happen if I put one more BR over here? So I'm going to go here, I'm going to say File, Save. So this is saved. And then I'm going to go to my web browser, and I'm going to refresh it. So now the changes that I did, it shows on my web browser. This is the center text. And of course, if I make this smaller, my center is going to always be the center of my window. So that's what happened. I'm getting an extra line over here because I put two BR, and after bold, I put the BR in there. And that's what I want to just show you, how to write and how to debug these things. Now, back to our slideshow. So that's what we had over here. Now, when this HTML tag was created, I clearly remember late 90s that I was in class and my instructor came in and he was so excited. He said, somebody's writing something that if you click on a link, you're going to go to another page. We did not have web pages before that when I started doing my education, which was a little later in my life. It was not available. So he was very excited to tell us about these things. But as web pages grew, as more of us using web pages, they figure out that the basic HTML is not working anymore. They wanted to add some more stuff to it. So what they come up with is called XML, that extensive markup language. So HTML is markup language, and XML is extensible. So they added more stuff to the basic HTML, and one of the things that as we're learning about objects and object-oriented stuff, we can have some stuff to come to us without actually writing it ourselves. Of course, we are not 100% object-oriented here, but we can use some parts of it. They have different version of this XML, and your book has decided to use SVG. So your book is using SVG. SVG is some types of XML. So the concept is almost the same for all of them. The only thing that we have to be careful is that if we want to use SVG, the extension cannot be HTML. It has to be SVG. And if you view your source and any web page that you go, you can see the extension that can be different depending on where you're using, how you're using it, and if it's going to be on client side or it's going to be on the server side. It's a big, huge thing that maybe you take a class on it somewhere. So that's what we are doing here in our in this week.
we're going to be using SVG. So SVG is going to help us to draw graph, and it's going to help us to draw shapes without actually knowing how to do it. If I want to use the basic HTML, I have to go through certain loops to be able to do that. So I'm going to go over this quickly. So what happens is we're going to have, let me go back. So the graph is going to be this way. So it's going to start with 0, 0. It's going to go down for Y, and it's going to go across for X. This is kind of a standard for all, a lot of graphs, because in here, we don't have negative numbers. When I'm doing the graph, for the graph itself, for the drawing the graph, there is no negative number. My data might have negative number, but my graph itself doesn't have negative number. So we are starting with 0. The key here to understand is the Y is going down. So if I want to be here for my Y to draw a graph, it is not 0, it is 100 for my Y. So we generally create a canvas that's going to be the viewable area that we want to work with. And in this case, we have it as 100 by 100. That's the canvas that we are using. It's very small, but that's what we are trying right now. So the left corner is 0, 0, X and Y. As I go to the right, my X is increasing and my Y stays the same, just like your algebra class. And then when I'm going down, my Y is changing and my X stays the same. So here I have 0 with the height, that was 100. So my X stays at 0, my Y increases going down. And of course, my this point, my X and Y both are increasing, and that's where I have it, this one. Okay, so remember that the Y increases downward. That's something that we are not comfortable with, because in our math classes, we learn for the graphs that Y goes up. So that's something that we have to practice on. I am going to stop here, and then I'm going to create another video for 10.1.